and that's of course the big concern that the wind what's going on onto homes that get up in the eaves under the roofs. We are going to go back to the Palisades fire. Yeah, I did see that. First fire is okay. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. Okay, we're back on, back on again. It's 2:12 in the morning, West Coast time. Still the 8th of January, 2025. We were Giant City, Roseman, California, out in the Antelope Valley, away from the three fires that we've got ongoing. Um, Due to the Santa Ana conditions that meteorologists have been talking about for the past few days, and now we're seeing the fruition of three fires happening in the Southland. I've been trying to tell people if they can go over to the Cal Fire incident map, all they got to do is do a Google search and pull up the map so you can see it better. I can't pull it up unless I'm going to be screwing up the stream. Okay, Ian, can you hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, I slept a couple of hours. I mean, I slept about clock and all the way about midnight to nearly 1. So I just wanted to see what was going on. And I was surprised that when I looked at the fire maps, that we actually had three burners going on. The Palisades been going on since 10 o'clock this morning, and several hours after that, there had been fire happening out in Altadena, um, up in the hillsides above it. They call it the Eaton Fire because it started in the Eaton Canyon. Now the way they're blowing right now, so fierce in certain areas. Sometimes it gets concentrated to where the fire is starting up by some ignition source, not mankind, not man's dealing with this one. But this is a nasty situation we're dealing with right now. I'm in the desert region. If you happen to look at the Google Maps and you happen to look at the Antelope Valley, it's the major wedge-shaped block of thing out there. I'm in the upper region of it in Rosamond. We still have issues regarding winds. Every time we had the Santa Anas coming in, blowing through areas, I'm always concerned about the fires happening well above my home and things coming down because of ashfall. The reason why we have the Eden fire is because we have the winds blowing stuff and ash falls are happening upon Altadena, much like Palisades and Malibu and maybe portions of Topanga Canyon are going up. For some of us who are not, um, don't know Southern California, that's fine. Get a wider shot of the region I'm going to be looking at here. I've got the Google Maps set up to where it's indicating which particular fires are still out of control, and we still have all three of them. Yeah, we had the major guys out here, the major corps, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC. They did their little shots. So did MSNBC, and got out of there. But we got the locals from KTLA, from ABC7, Eyewitness. We have KCAL, Channel 2, Channel 9 out there. Fox 11's out there. So we're all doing the 24/7 on this one. And yeah, it's terrifying to watch this stuff. This is not a sporadic. Actually, it is kind of sporadic, but it's also an ongoing for a long time. I mean, it's a thing we deal with out here in Southern California. A long time ago, I joked about 4 seasons we would have: fire, floods, earthquakes, riots. Riots rarely and frequently. Thank God on that one. But we get fires. I worry about the second thing, flood. if we get sufficient enough water coming into the Southland, we're going to have these fire areas flooded out. The other thing I should have been saying is the wildlife out here. And we have wildlife throughout the Southland in the hillsides. We have occasional run ins with a lot of our creatures. We got bobcats out here, we've got mountain lions, we got bears, we got skunks. Well, don't mess with the skunks. They're cute. You don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. But they're scared as hell of what's going on right now because the humans have been putting up places all over and we're squeezing them out left and right. So they got no other place to go except in the squeezed in areas, and those are going up in smoke. So we don't know where the hell they're going to go next. We still got a lot of forest areas out there that haven't been torched, thank God. But when we have the winds blowing, they'll start an ignition source somewhere. Maybe a power line gets shorted out or something like that. And then we get flames going. Sufficient enough force going through the areas. Then we have the ash falls happening. Right now, I got LA City Fire talking to Channel 5. I hope to God they do. And we also know that you've got two other fires that people are focused on, the Sun Valley and in Silmar. How big of a drain is that putting on your ability to fight four fires at the same time? He said three. That's fine. Where's the fourth fire? All right, I gotta find out about that little monster. All right, Google, talk to me. That's LA Times. I just statistics. I don't know what's going on, guys. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. I need the local one. What the hell is going on? Yeah, no kidding, guys. 2 days, 4 days. No, I need a more recent one. Where do you think this fire is heading? Anywhere the damn wind blows. Right. Yeah, there goes Malibu again. The evacuation orders being put in place there. Is that still one of the key locations that you're worried about tonight? You better be worried about it, guys. And more water. Where's that damn fourth fire? Margaret had to rescue a number of people as we look at this aerial shot of the Palisades. Is that a problem for your firefighters out there that they're having to rescue more people than they should?
people that, not to any fault of their own, whether they have mobility issues, they weren't able to get out early. So we had those calls coming in. We coordinate with our law enforcement partners to go and reach those people and get them out. The individuals that opted not to evacuate and then later become trapped and aren't able to get out, that's when it really does create a life-threatening scenario for the rescuers to reach them.
We always see the people that stay behind with the garden hose and then suddenly become overwhelmed and have to be pulled out. Yeah, that's really dumb. The case in the coming hours, Margaret. I understand the necessity, but it's still dumb. Margaret Stewart from LA City Fire, we thank you so much for joining us at this early hour. And main lamps raising up again. Okay.
She sounds pretty confident, though.
And she's trained to be confident at this point over here, but when you're dealing with fire situations at this point, it's scary as hell. We kept trying to talk about go bags, especially when we deal with geologic activity, mainly quakes. Problem is, we think about the go bag situation not as much regarding the quakes, but fires, that we have to talk about. That we have to get more and more concerned about, because with the Santa Anas we got, okay, Kurt Hawkins, weather. Come on. Get it up, get it up, get it up.
Tuesday afternoon, continuing to Wednesday night, we would see a most severe period of winds, and it looks like that came a little bit earlier when the fire broke out in Pacific Palisades just before 11 o'clock yesterday morning, and it still is looking like we're going to have some concerning weather throughout the day today, and potentially through Thursday as well.
That's going to be nice.
We're still very much in the midst of all of this, and it's really expected to continue through Thursday as well. Now, I wanted to point out, we're looking live. This is the Mount Wilson camera, and you can see that the flames getting dangerously close to all of our television towers. We've been watching it over the course of the morning as those flames have continued to get even closer to our camera position. I'll step out of the way, and those flames dangerously close. You even look at the distance, and I believe
what's the wind direction?
There you can see the flames from Pacific Palisades, but just a very dramatic live picture from one of the cameras that we usually take, and it gives us an eye above where things are. We're going to check current conditions when it comes to the winds, as Courtney mentioned, in Pacific Palisades. Right now we're seeing about 22-mile-per-hour winds. Those gusts around 38 miles per hour. Temperatures holding about 61 degrees, and those humidity levels just continue to drop 17%. This was the latest, so we're at the 220. Let's see, it's 2:25 in the morning. We saw this was our latest observation at about 2 o'clock. Now we've got high wind warnings, we've got wind advisories, and then we've got red flag warnings. But I wanted to update you. These are some new numbers that just came in within the last
54 burping. Holy shit, 59.
Some of the gusts that we're clocking here, the wildfires. And so at least there's some positive news here. Unfortunately, this is probably only going to be short-lived, but we're seeing some more calm winds, believe it or not, than they have been. Malibu Hills near Pacific Palisades, 54-mile-per-hour winds. The Canyon Fire, we're seeing some gusts around 49 miles per hour as well. The Newhall Pass.
Yeah, but the direction of the damn thing.
And then Burbank, that fire that we had overnight, there's 59-mile-per-hour winds. So these are just an idea of the winds that we're having. Still extremely significant winds, but it's below that 70-mile-per-hour threshold. So I'll step out of the way. We are all covered by this red flag warning and fire weather watch, as you can see, from Santa Paula to Santa Clarita, Riverside, Temecula, the Long Beach area. And depending on where you are, this is expected to continue until 6 o'clock for the majority of us today. Some of us on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. That's for the red flag warning. The fire weather watch will continue through Friday, because we are expected again to continue to see some winds through Thursday, and then Friday we'll continue to see those winds as a factor as well. Now, taking a look at the red flag warning, here's a breakdown of what we can expect through the 4 o'clock and the 6 o'clock hour. Strongest wind gusts still between 50 and 80 miles per hour. Those relative low humidity levels continue to be in that dangerous category for firefighters between 10 and 20% or less. And this red flag warning, as I just showed you, very widespread all of Southern California. Now, here's a look at it for some comparison on the winds.
Whoa!
San Gabriel Mountains, 86 mile per hour. The Santa Susana Mountains, 71 mile per hour winds. In the San Fernando Valley, Pacoima, 78 mile per hour winds clocked during the height of the evening. Then the Santa Monica Mountain Range, we saw some winds in the 65 mile per hour trajectory.
Okay, thank you.
Now, current winds, I'll step out of the way, give you a look at where. Now, these are just some of the sustained
Wait
winds,
a
not
second.
necessarily the wind gusts, but you can see Oxnard, Camarillo, Oxnard a little bit more windy. Van Nuys a little bit more windy than Camarillo, where it's a little bit breezy. Some windy conditions also continuing in the Inland Empire. 25 mile per hour winds in Ontario, 23 in Corona as well. And we've been talking a lot about LA County, but the Inland Empire continuing to look at widespread critical to extreme wildfire conditions.
Yeah, why a direction shift in Palmdale?
Fire conditions. There's a couple of noteworthy wind gusts that the National Weather Service was reporting. Big Black Mountain in the Valley Center area recorded a wind gust of about 73 miles per hour. There's a weather station at Cal State San Bernardino. The wind gust there 66 miles per hour. And happening through portions of the Inland Empire. We continue to see the upper low tracking to the south. Relative humidity levels expected to drop between 10 and 15%. And the reason we're not out of the woods yet is we're looking for really low humidity levels to continue Thursday and then into Friday, single digits in some cases. So here's a look at where those humidity levels are now. Typically, firefighters really are concerned when they hit single digits, and we're getting a little bit closer to that. 10 to 20% is the trajectory right now. We're in that 20 for the majority of these areas. And it goes without saying, we have a significant air quality alert. It's expected to continue until 3 o'clock
well, if we're not in
this afternoon. Of course, that means a mandatory wood burning ban, but of course, you're going to notice the particulates and the smoke associated with wildfires.
All right, what do we got?
Talking temperatures, there was the possibility
Bill's 41, cool.
Some frost and freeze warnings in some of our outlying areas. Right now, we're seeing temperatures in the 50s.
Big Bear up north. Yeah, okay, I'll get that.
Southern California, 61 in Long Beach, 62 in Santa Ana. Let's take a look at where the highs are going to go.
65, Lancaster 61,
roller coaster when it comes to where the temperatures are.
Okay, we're moderate.
You see some warm weather. Of course, the winds in the forecast again today, 69 in Oxnard, 73 expected to try in Westchester, 73 in Long Beach. Long Beach hearing from a number of viewers actually about how the winds have been fairly calm there compared to the rest of Southern California so far today. 72 in Yorba Linda, 70 in Diamond Bar, 72 in Dana Point, 69 for Corona. We should see 57.
60 to 70 sounds about right.
Now, let's talk about your 7-day forecast, because it's very important when we talk about the outlook of where this is all going to take us. So we're looking at a high of 71 degrees, partly cloudy, even windy conditions expected in your forecast. We'll continue to see some of the winds lingering on Thursday.
We're going to be around temperature.
We've got them likely
raising your butts off during nighttime, but we'll be okay during the daytime.
About the down trees, the down power lines, the hazardous driving conditions, increased traffic.
That's the other thing we got to worry about is damn it, Southern California and the power outages.
LAX, you might want to check and see if those flights to LAX or to Burbank have been diverted as a result of all of this.
Yeah, they would be. LAX should be having problems with the winds as well.
We've got several hours for them to strengthen as part of the forecast. We think it's still very possible. We don't really think the winds are going to diminish until later this afternoon. So you got mostly sunny and windy conditions expected on Wednesday. Today in the Inland Empire, where we'll see that high of 67. Orange County, inland areas looking for a high of 73 degrees. Still very windy in areas of Orange County again throughout the day and expected to continue. We're seeing temperatures kind of above normal, as you can see, as we get in the weekend. We are looking at least another round of
hanging in there, so are you, Ian?
Tuesday. Not nearly as strong as they have been, but that's something to keep in mind.
Okay, 74 down to 60.
Now, San Fernando Valley, we saw some significant winds overnight. overnight. 69 expected to be the high. Van Nuys Airport saw 67-mile-per-hour winds. Woodland Hills saw some 36
Yeah.
mile per hour wind gusts. There's areas of Ventura County that were a little bit higher, but a significant and very windy night. Of course, we're hearing from Calabasas officials, and there have been some notes about whether or not to evacuate there, and so you'll want to check, depending on where you are, the level of preparedness that you need when it comes to evacuation. St. Gabriel Valley, we've been talking about the Eden Canyon fire, where we'll see a high of 73.
Yeah, what
And
about
of
the
course,
Hearst?
along the coast, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, seeing some very significant winds. In fact, the latest update, Santa Monica Mountain saw some winds overnight, 80 miles per hour. Latigo Canyon Road, an area I'm familiar with, grew up there, 56 miles per hour overnight. So that's a look at your forecast right now, but a fairly dynamic situation, and it doesn't look like any relief is coming anytime soon. So we've got a very rough few hours ahead. For now, Chris, Megan, and Ginger, now back to you.
All right, Kirk, thank you. And we are taking over, of course, for the earlier crew who just left. They've been doing a great job all night. Let's go now to Jennifer McGraw. She is at the Eden Fire in Altadena right now. And Jennifer, can you kind of show us what's going on right there? When we went to bed, we're the early crew now taking over. When we went to bed, there was 2, maybe 3 fires. Now there are 4. The Closer, the Eden, the Hearst, and of course the Pacific Palisades Fire.
Closer.
But now you are at the Eden Fire. Good morning.
What the hell's that one at?
Chris and Megan, good morning. It is incredibly disheartening to hear that the winds may stick around. These firefighters are up against it. They are battling. But this fire, and just in the last hour or so, it was raging. And it's basically hopping from home to home. And these firefighters are just chasing it. And Greenwood, if you could point over to that home over there. That home, so the fire captain told me my goal and my guys is to save this home. We can't save every home, and by the time they got to this one next door, it was fully engulfed, and they have saved that home so far. So they have had a lot of victories today, but this wind, it is absolutely insane. It is blowing the trucks around. It is blowing us around. There are fire personnel from all over. I'm even hearing from Governor Newsom that he's sending 1,400 firefighters in, and that's absolutely what they need.
But they need more water as well.
Captain, he tells me that they have plenty of personnel on this fire. But again, they're just this wind. They're battling this wind that is just blowing 77 miles an hour up on top of the ridges. And it's
I want to know about that fourth
so
fire.
where it started, you guys, it was at Eaton Canyon. And Eaton Canyon is like a beautiful hiking trail. And it came down fierce, and it came down into the community of Altadena, and it spread from Altadena, and then is now heading west towards Sierra Madre, and it is also heading east towards those areas of Monrovia and Pasadena. There is a lot of concern and confusion. I want to get to some video. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but all I can say is these elderly people absolutely needed to get out of their living facility. They were rescued by the people who work there. They were rescued by their
Yeah, let's just say that the fires out here in Southern California really get dramatic at this point over here. I can make a lousy joke about the situation, but as you guys are listening on the news, this is KTLA Channel 5. I've got it on my Amazon Fire Pad right now. I've been trying to keep track of what was going on. I mean, it's one thing if I happen to see the fire out in the mountainsides that we have and in hillsides. This is tearing apart more communities than usually I would keep track of. This kind of reminded me of some of the fires that we actually had in Northern California a few years back. Well, we actually had about 2 or 3 communities disappear in smoke. We're seeing the same situation here because of the wind situation. This is not human caused. This is strictly a Santa Ana's. The fire officials were prepared, but not to the length that we're dealing with right now. Also dealing with the ashfall that we have that's being blown about. Now, when we actually had fires out in the Antelope Valley 2-3 years back, and we had it along the plains. We also had along the hillsides. The things that I was worried about when we actually had the winds kind of blowing uh, opposite to what the Santa Anas are doing right now is ashfall coming into one area or another area or another area. That's always been the thing that drove me crazy. Now, I've lived in California all my life, mostly in San Fernando Valley, and then the last 20 years in the Antelope Valley. So basically, it's Southern California is my home. I'd seen a lot of fires happening throughout the Southland. A lot of Malibu fires, Topanga Canyon going up in smoke, Angeles on some occasions, San Bernardino going up in smoke. But the things I hadn't seen that really would freak people out is when I see entire communities torn apart. Pacific Palisades was one of those communities that really expanded into the hillsides throughout 30 or 40 years. So they really got an established area out there. Okay, go to Google Maps, type out Southern California. Once you're in that area, I can bring it into the territories that I'm talking about here. Los Angeles would have been a nice area uh, to put in the Google search area, or better yet, put in Pacific Palisades in your search engine. But whatever it is, you're getting into the territory that I'm trying to explain about. Now, currently, they're telling me that we got 4 fires. I don't know where the fourth one came from. I know about the 3 fires. Um, Eden came up before I went to bed before 10 o'clock this morning, West Coast time. Pacific's been ongoing since 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday. Hearst, I think it was about 1 or 2 hours that we've had that going on, and that was in the Sylmar area, right in the northeastern section of the San Fernando Valley. So I've never seen an area like this going up in smoke. And believe it or not, I'm glad I'm not in the San Fernando Valley. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, any chance I'd hear or see smoke out there, I'd be having a complete conniption fit on that one. This is before I'm a native. I've been in this area too many damn times, and I've seen fire throughout California in different portions. We get individual spot fires in maybe local neighborhoods, and that's where LA City comes in. But we're talking about Santa Ana conditions in the mountainsides, and that's what scares the hell out of everyone out here, including the first responders, because they know the hillsides, they know the trails and the streets, and what can get clogged up and what can't get clogged up. And sometimes we just don't have sufficient enough manpower to get it all cleared out. I mean, if you guys been watching the fire, what happened earlier this morning, you would see in some of the streets getting clogged up because once people seeing the fire coming down from the hillsides, burning up a few homes here and there, they started leaving their cars and running out, going to Pacific Coast Highway. And this is at the Pacific Palisades fire. We had to have somebody come from one of the neighborhoods telling the news stations what's going on. So another hour later, here comes one of the fire equipment coming in to shove the cars aside so we get fire engines in there and there. And trust me, it gets dramatic. It gets very, very dramatic. And it should be. It should scare the living crap out of everybody who lives out here in the Southland in the first place. We live on a constant fire situation. And since we've got an ongoing drought that has not been, it has not been quenched yet, we haven't got enough water coming into our mountainsides, into the landslides, actually into the landscape here. I'm afraid what happens next. Once we do get water coming down, and I mean, not just the light stuff. I'm talking about severe, heavy, intense, short term in different sections where the ground cannot absorb it, and we start getting mudslides in different areas left and right. That's what's going to happen next in the next maybe 3 or 4 months. I'm predicting, and that's going to be That's going to be a traffic nightmare right there as it is. Yeah, the winds are strong. Well, in Philly, you don't have that much geography. You got landscape. You've got buildings. Sometimes you got tall buildings out in that area, don't you? But yeah, the winds are pretty damn strong on the East Coast on that one there, Buck. Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, not really far away. No, they're not. They're spitting distance. If you happen to look at the map on this one here, Val, they're very close. We are a very tight knit community over the past century. And Pacific Palisades. I'm waiting for the fourth fire. They kept talking about a fourth fire over here, and I don't know what's going on. So, and yes, climate is getting extreme. We're going to be seeing more and more situations happening globally at this point. What was it, the past 20 or 30 years? How many fires did we happen to see in Australia? Yeah, continent in Australia getting torched. Not just the outlining areas. I'm talking about inside. When they get fires out in that area, we see it out here, but it's only sporadic news reporting. But when we happen to see something in the States, yeah, we try to focus more of our news on that one. Here in the Southland, yeah. Ooh. KTLA still got it on right now. It's one thing watching an individual fire, but when you see neighborhoods after neighborhoods, I'd seen it happen in several areas of the mountainside communities going up. But we're not. But Palisades is a mountain community in a sense. It's urban, and we have concentrated areas where population is. This is going to take maybe, I don't know how long, but I know Pacific Palisades is up in smoke. What's going to get to me at this point, if I'm going to show you back on the map, right next to Palisades, on the left-hand side, we got Topanga State Park. We had fires in the area. We also had Malibu Canyon, which we also had fires in the area over the past 2 or 3 years. Well, more longer than that. I mean, just sporadic. Crashed out in the engines. They had to. We were watching about that one there too, Buck. We watched it out here in Southland. The sequence that we're having right now is a lot. We think Palisades is intense, about 3,000 acres. When dealing with the Angeles National Forest and San Bernardino and San Gabriel's that we have, the mountainsides, no. Those were monsters. Those were monsters we actually had. In fires, let's see. According to Cal Fire, eating it the last time was over 1,000 acres. That's still a good chunk of change. But the problem is, it's going into neighborhoods, and that's the problem that people are having a conniption fit over. It's one thing going into the mountainsides, and you have the mountainside communities getting torched to life, and it's still shocking, absolutely shocking. Hearst Fire, that one is in an area I just couldn't relate with. Near Diamond Road, Sylmar. Where's Diamond Road at? I know that territory a little bit in
So
Silmar.
it's calm here because we are at a staging area, so we're far enough from the danger of the immediate fire zone. The orange
Golf
glow is
courses,
kind of
parks.
a bit, but I don't know if my so you can see some of the flare up there while
Oh
there's also
boy.
there. Of course, that just brush that's
I
burning
just
on
saw the
the front
territory of the
fire.
Hearst fire.
That's where homes,
It's
that's
not
where
the
the
green area I'm
trees
looking
have
at.
been wiped out. I will say that
It's
the
trailer
winds are
parks. Oh
dying
my God.
down.
Not again.
Maybe about 12
Not
hours ago,
again.
we were getting big smoke,
What was it?
low
80s or
haze where
90s? We had the
sand
fire
was
up in
getting
that
into our
area.
face, ash, and a lot of soot.
I remember that
But we're
territory.
closer to the fire line
I
now,
had
and we're
friends living in
seeing
a trailer park.
simply mayhem there.
Lost their home.
Embers everywhere, every which way, and that's when
Trailer
we
parks try to
began the
rebuild themselves
incident
up again, take them
yesterday.
years.
They were just inhaling a lot of the toxic
And
chemicals
if
that
the
you hear
Hearst
from fire
fire's out
departments
there,
calling for. So that's what we came
we
to
got two areas that are going to
location.
be
But
knocked
again,
out
I
left
will
and
say
right. If that's not
the
bad
winds,
enough
they've
in
been
the
pretty
Silmar
steady,
area,
but not as strong as they were
we
maybe
got
like 4 or 5 hours
Olive
ago.
View.
You can hear it in his voice. You can hear how congested you are. You can, and that was a
Ooh, not
small
again,
sample.
not again, not again, not
And I
again.
should mention
Not all of
peak
you.
wind
Please, dear
time
God,
is
not
going to
all of
go
you.
till what, about 5 a.m. or so.
All of you is a
So
hospital that we have
very, very lucky
up
for
in
us
the
that
Silmar
it
area,
is
right by
right
the
now, but it's not
210
the case in
freeway.
several other areas. So just be
1971, we actually had our earthquake out here. It did a hell of a lot of damage
extremely, extremely fierce
in the San
winds.
Fernando
So
Valley. They recovered enough, but unfortunately,
I'll go with Ginger
the
Chad.
veteran hospital up the V.
Gosh, a lot of closures this morning, Ginger. Yeah, and we
Let me
really
get my
want to
mouth
hear about some of
liquidated.
these closures because we don't want anybody to think like the whole 5 freeway is
All of
closed.
you hospital
This is
was
one
part
freeway.
mental
We'll show you a closer
and
look
medical during the
at
time.
some of these closures here.
And we had several
Tomorrow is
buildings collapsed by an
Washington
earthquake out there.
crossing, and obviously
That was back in
Washington is
71 when we actually had the
closed
Silmar
and they
earthquake.
needed to shut down the Caltrans crews. They needed to
And
shut
every
down
time we
Washington
actually have a fire
State.
near the
So
area, they
that
don't
really helps
even
us today.
evacuate it
You can see that
in
that's
time
just the
until.
outside road. That would be that car coming at us. So what the
But
crews
they've
have
never
done
been burned down. That's the thing.
on Sunset Boulevard
They've
is
never
that
been
part
burned
that's
down.
the portion of the base station that they can't access in
And
that
I'm
direction.
hoping that the ashfall
And then you can
from the
continue
Hearst
to
fire
West LA
doesn't go
or any other
across
areas that need to go. And a very different story if you have
because
flooding
that's still a lot of territory.
75 miles per hour. That is the west end side.
Looking at the San
So
Fernando Valley, I'm looking at the
if you live close
northeast
right here
section of it.
on Fifth Street, I wouldn't even access that
And I'm
here.
looking at the freeway
But
system here.
so you can see the purple line
On the
there.
south side of the freeway, of the
And
210,
that is where the closure begins. There are some delays as people try to make their way there, thinking they can
that's what I worry
access the
more
10. They
about.
cannot. They close this actually fairly early, and so the closure will continue, and then you cannot continue
Above the
to the
210, we got
west
the
because
trailer
it's
homes,
to the northwest, and then you cannot
uh,
cross the tunnel to the
landfills, we
east.
got
So
industrial,
these closures are in effect here
we
for
got
the
new
short
properties
term.
being built up in that
Some of
area,
the other closures, obviously, these are some more, or they are
but it's
smaller closures
below
because of
the
the
freeway that I'm
distance
more
and how
worried
fierce they
about.
are. So again, we don't want anybody to think, oh, the 5 freeway is closed. It is not. The 5 south and north, the connector road to that 210 is
Freeways are still
closed.
going?
Why? Because that will put you right into that line of fire where the Hearst fire
Wow.
is burning in Silmar. So it's one way to look at it is, can I access these points? Well, it depends on where the fire is. And so that's why it makes sense to know that they have shut this down. If you are heading into Silmar, you need to be at Lakeview Terrace. Probably not going to be as accessible to you than, say, somebody who needs to head into North Hollywood, okay? And then some of the streets, we're not going to cover that just yet. We want to focus on the freeways for now. Let's move you over to our other real time traffic map so you can see the closure where our Jennifer McGraw is, and that Eaton fire for friends who normally travel into Eaton Canyon or anywhere around
134
there. So the
and the 5
closure
interchange.
here, I believe it's actually the 134 in both directions for the 210. This
So we
is
need to
the
stick around
134
that one.
westbound side at the 5 that has a closure here, but east at the 210 split, that is closed as well. So you can't continue, say, into Altadena. And I think it may be a little bit of a challenge to
All
continue
right, give me
east
the
in
traffic,
towards
guys.
areas. Thank you, Tommy. Into Old Town Pasadena as well. And then I did look up some public transportation. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. To me, it looked like the L line was still okay if you want to take that. But I did see that there is, and I'll stay right here as I talk about it. I know that the Metro A line between Southwest Museum and Fillmore stations, they need to conduct bus bridges. Now that happened yesterday. They are going to continue with them today. Bus bridges, obviously, it puts you from one end of the station to the other, bridging you the portion that is closed. That is because the tracks, there was wind damage there. And I know too, the other thing really quick I want to mention, there are a lot of reports of down power lines unless they are an issue where they're sparking, there's a fire related to it.
right now everybody's tapped, and so they are not going to be able to respond to some of those down power lines in areas, and that is could be a struggle depending on where you need to be.
Yeah, no, Buck.
And those areas that are going to be blocked off because of those down power lines. But other than that, you do have to be careful, and then watch out for debris, obviously, on our freeways. I know I ran into that myself. We'll keep track of these guys. We'll continue public transportation, streets, and freeways as well.
Before we let you go, Ginger, the Hearst fire, which is the one burning in Sylmar, and it's one of the ones, if you went to bed at a certain time, you're waking up, it is new to you. So if you use the 14, if you use the 5 South, and you're coming out of Santa Clarita, this is what you need to know. You said it. I'm going to reiterate it. I lived it, so I want to make sure people know it. There's a sizable part of our viewing audience that lives north of the Newhall Pass. The 5 North and South, correct me if I'm wrong, they're open. It is the connector in both directions to the 210 that is closed. The 210 is going to be closed for a big section of it. So be aware. We're showing the map right there. Thousands and thousands of people rely on this route. You just need to know you're not going to be able to use the 210 coming from the 5.
And the stretch for the closure on the 210, like Yarnell to Roxford Street, and I would avoid some of the surrounding streets as well, because those are going to probably be closed off just because it's dangerous. But yeah, Chris makes a good point, because you see to the top left or right next to where it says live traffic. So obviously to the left is the 5, to the top right is the 4. Green real-time traffic maps, they're showing us that they are open. So like I said, think about where you need to go. I need to go into Sylmar, Lakeview Terrace. That's not going to happen taking the 210 freeway. I need to go to North Hollywood or Burbank. You're okay because there's no fire burning in those spots, right? So that's one way to look at it. You kind of have to think about your own commute and then the areas that you take and what you're running into. But let's say you are heading into Pasadena, 5 South, you go 210 East, and then you want to continue through Eagle Rock into Pasadena, then you will run into those closures that are leading you into Altadena and then farther to the east into Pasadena.
And if we had the ability to put a flame symbol on it, if you see where the 5 symbol is right there on the on the upper left part of the map there, if you went directly to the right of that, if you move that fire over to the right, it's all in there and down. And you can see it. You can really see it as someone is controlling this map. Exactly, Tommy. Well done, man. Well done. You can see it from the 5 on the mountaintop. It's just... And it's been years since I've seen something like that, and I can distinctly remember when it was. But the point is this: the 210, forget about it right now, at least until first responders tell us different. You just need to make alternative plans. If you work in the Santa Clarita Valley, you know that it's hard to work around that.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about a very big delay. You got to call your work. You got to let them know, hey, I'm not going to be on time. Do you really need me to come in?
Right, absolutely. And then Tom, if you could put the LA map back up, because the other thing, and then Megan mentioned this as well, is you're driving in, right? You may not run into any type of wind, you may not run into debris or anything like that, but what will you run into for sure? The smoke, and you can smell it. So for my own commute, I would say right at about the Citadel, for anybody driving along the 5, the first thing I saw is this orange hue. I thought, that's the moon, which looked totally different from where I live because I didn't have all the smoke. Then you get into the basin where you are dealing with that. So you will start to slow down because you've got the smoke, the ash, that kind of stuff that we're contending with all these fires. Again, along the basin or in the basin, right in the Citadel, that area for the 5 freeway, and then probably other parts if you're driving the 710, the downtown area, 110 freeway, you will smell all that smoke. And then you can see now as we show you that wide map of some of the other closures and those purple lines indicating those closures, the slowing. The reason we want to keep everybody off some of those streets that are so close to areas like the Hearst Fire, the Eden Canyon Fire, Eden Fire, because they need access for obviously the firefighters, but also for evacuees that need to get out of the area. They need to access those streets, and that was the struggle a lot of people had when they were trying to escape. And Sunset Boulevard was congested, obviously Palisades Drive as well, and so that's the reason we say yes, stay off the streets, and then we will continue to track public transportation as people may need that as opposed to driving.
And Ginger, I just want to mention as well, we're of course understandably focusing mainly on the fire areas.
Yes.
A lot of areas are experiencing high winds. On my way in, a lot of traffic lights are out.
Yes.
A lot of power outages have happened. So a lot
That's
of folks,
another
even
thing.
if you're not near the immediate fire areas, you're going to run into a lot of very confusing traffic situations this morning.
Trash cans.
Exactly.
Random debris, and it's not going to be small. Buckets off of trucks. I saw that all over the place. You just have to really have your head on a swivel, be ready. And this is one of those days where, if you have the ability to work from home, this would actually be a great day to take.
Unless, of course, the power goes out and the internet goes crashing and burning.
Some other just some other incidents that are not.
She's all right. She's still hanging in there.
Because to your point, Megan, I saw lots of delays, debris, people hitting that stuff. A lot of people don't even have power. Yeah, exactly. And also in South Orange County as well, and in the Inland Empire. So we'll be watching those areas.
All right, Ginger, thank you. This is a map that you're looking at on your screen right now, the Eaton Fire area. And if you're just joining us from overnight, you are watching the KTLA 5 Morning News as we approach the 3 a.m. hour. If you went to bed, of course, you knew about the Pacific Palisades fire. You may have known about the closer fire in the Pasadena area, but you're also waking up to now the Eaton fire and also the Hearst fire, which we were just talking about.
That's where the hell the damn thing was.
Right now, these are the areas under mandatory evacuation east of Altadena Drive, Kenaloa Canyon Road, Outpost Lane, Glen Springs, Coolidge, Miranda, Roosevelt, Veranda, Kinclair, Fox Ridge, Canyon Close, Grando,
what the hell's past?
north of New York Drive, east of Altadena Drive, west of Sierra Madre, Villa Avenue. Again, those are the areas under mandatory evacuation orders. You were just not really paying attention to what I was saying, and you heard a street pointing area.
I gotta wait for that one to pop up.
You just said my street. You need to know you're under a mandatory evacuation order. What does that mean? Get your stuff, get your valuables, get your documents, and it is time to leave.
So a lot of folks might think they don't have anywhere to go. Well, that's why many shelters have opened for you. So here are some places you can go for residents who have been evacuated.
Lower down a little bit.
Even if you just want to play it safe from the Eaton fire specifically. This includes
I needed to know about that one, but they hadn't got it recorded yet. I'm going to have to wait until 8 o'clock West Coast time to see where that Pasadena fire is, whether or not they actually got it under control or not. Speaking of animals, yeah, she's doing all right. She's still hanging in there. She gets fussy at night, and have to calm her down, especially past couple of nights. Even a few hours ago, I had to settle her down a little bit. She's feeding off of my own fears concerning about the fire situations, and I have to calm her down a little bit, put her down to bed, and then when she knows I'm in bed, she'll allow me to sleep a little bit. So she's sleeping peacefully, thank God. She's still alive. She's still a fuss budget, though. I was going to be saying something about the Edison situation over here. Southern California Edison has been noticing that when they start having fires, they have power outages left and right. They're trying to do preemptive to circumnavigate the grids that are going to be in trouble. But when the wind comes up like crazy, they don't want any more power outages or poles taking out or fires starting. So they're doing preemptive power outages left and right. Our territory out here in the Antelope Valley, we've got portions of Lancaster and Palmdale being, shall I call it, depowered by Edison, because they don't want any fires out in that territory. Let me show you. Google Maps, guys. Google Maps. The wedge above everything, the desert wedge. We've got a few communities out here in this territory. I'm going to just get my computer to work here. I'll be fine. Work already, Dan. Thank you. Okay. Lancaster and Palmdale are basically neck to neck. Rosamond is right by Edwards Air Force Base, up in the northern region. I'm turning it down a bit. 1,000 acres out in Eaton, still crawling. Anyway, back in the valley at this point over here, you notice the geography that I got. We're flat land. We got scrub all over the place. Um, Not that much tree, except along the tree lines of the mountains that are lining the valley area. I'm more worried about the flatline fires because of potential ashfall or something else would happen, and anyway would get ashfall because of the winds. I try to talk about that on a lot of my other videos about this one. So I'm just still concerned about what's happening. If the winds actually shift from the Santa Ana to an opposite, that's the thing that scares the hell out of me. They're going to be talking about this left and right. My body is telling me I got to get back to bed before Sheol must be obeyed is going to get me up. Appreciate you guys being online. I do appreciate it. I've seen too much of this damn stuff. It just gets even harder and harder to see places I know to go up in smoke. I mean, it's one thing when you see about a little bit of a neighborhood going up in smoke, but this is a lot of communities, and it's just heartbreaking would be the understatement at this point. Heartbreaking would be an understatement. So if you guys are religious, we need a hell of a lot of prayers for Southern California. There's a lot of people are going to be homeless. We already had enough problems with the homeless situation as it is, but now it's going to be even worse. So they don't know where the hell they're going to be living at next time, and I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, tell me about it. No water. When we start running into a no water situation over here, we're really going to be in trouble. We're really going to be in trouble, Bug. That's the thing that's during the drought situations that we've been having over the past decade. We barely had enough water fighting off the other fires we had right now as it is. If they would get the super scoopers out early enough and under stable enough winds, they'll do some damage, and so will the helicopters. They'll be able to suck up the water, hopefully from the oceans. Oh, who says 2025 wasn't uneventful? I could be talking about politics when I do my own video, but when it comes down for a live situation like this, oh boy. All right, guys, I have to call it in. My body says, and my brain's telling me, back to bed, buds. So I will talk at you later. I'll try to do a live stream tomorrow if I can. But right now, I have got to call it in. So I will see you guys later. And thank you. Thank you very much.